Is this thing even on? What's up, everybody? My name is Evan Naka. We're back at the home office. First and foremost, I'm sure you noticed something a little bit new. Got this bad boy. I don't know. I just felt like audio wasn't really working for me. So I needed to step my game up. I went ahead and made this purchase. It looks legit. I saw some of my friends using it. It had a bunch of good reviews.
I want one.
No.
And I got this sweet extendable arm. So to me, it kind of completes the look. And I guess if I ever want to do podcasting, I could use this too. I don't know. This is totally over the top. I was using a shotgun mic before this. Now I'm using this guy. I have no idea why. It just felt good. Whatever. Sometimes I just do things just because I want to.
I am a peacock! You gotta let me fly!
And it looks cool. Like, I'm looking at the monitor right now, and yeah, literally I haven't even tested this out. I just went ahead and used it, grabbed it, and I was like, all right, let's just film something. So if I'm doing this video and there's no audio, test your equipment before you use it. Today's video is something that I've done in the past, but I wanted to update it because I've gotten new lenses. I've added things to my workflow. I've shot different things. I've had tons of different shoots, whether it's lifestyle or product or video or photo or whatever it might be. So I thought, you know what? It's time to do my top 3 lenses that I can't live without and are with me at every single shoot. Now, every photographer, every videographer I've ever known always have their favorite lenses, their go-to guys, the ones that are their ride or die.
We ride together. We die together. Bad boys for life.
They're not gonna forget them. They're gonna want them in their arsenal, no matter if they're shooting, you know, a celebrity or they're shooting a product, whatever it might be. They always have these lenses with them, and I'm no different. I have my favorite lenses, my go-to. I always overpack. I'm a terrible packer or just traveler in terms of what I bring with me. Like, it doesn't matter if it's photography or videography or whatever I'm doing for work. If I'm traveling to another country or traveling to another state or even another freaking city, I always overpack.
Still never gonna fit, ever.
I'm pretty confident I know why I overpack, and it's my parents' fault. I blame them.
It is directly your fault.
The only reason I say that is I grew up in Hawaii, and going anywhere beyond 20 minutes is like awful in Hawaii, and you have to pack to like prepare to get across the island. At least that's how I grew up. So if I was going from my hometown in Mililani and I was going to the beach or going to school or going to my sister's school, which was even farther, we would always have to pack like a lunch, a snack, drinks, maybe a pillow. So that's got ingrained in my head, even for those short trips. Imagine how I am for those long distance travels. I'm awful at packing. I always want to make sure I'm prepared for every situation, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it can really slow you down. But the point is, even with all that overpacking, I always take these 3 lenses. First up, my G Master 16-35. Now, I love this lens. This was included in my first video as one of my favorite lenses, as my go-to. I think I'm also a little nostalgic on this one. This one was my first professional level lens. This 16-35, I mean, it hits all the right spots that you need when you're filming, when you're taking photos, at least for my style, especially with the Sony cameras. With that Super 35 mode, you can punch in just a little bit more, turning that 35 mil into basically a 50.
That's rad.
So that 16 is wide enough to give you that cool landscape feel, or that distortion if you really are going for that, whether it might be for street style or any other type of lifestyle content that would call for some kind of a wide angle lens like that. So 16-35, tried and true. I love it. It's a lens I've had the longest, for sure. Beyond that, I mean, you have your little switches on here that I really enjoy. Makes life a lot easier. You have your autofocus, manual focus, your lock. The ring is really smooth. Build quality is top notch. It's G Master. We don't have to go over all that. You know it's going to be good. If it's a focal length that is offered in multiple brands, whether it's Zeiss, whether it's G Master or Tamron or any other ones, I always go for G Master. Top build quality, works the best with your camera. Autofocus is going to be the best. And you know, it's going to last you a long time. I've had this lens for 4 this just fell over. Did you guys see that? Just slowly going down. Hold on. 1 second. Better? Yeah, that works. What was I saying about this lens? Also with the G Master, you're gonna get that 2.8 f-stop. I mean, it's not the lowest, it's not like you're using a prime lens or anything, but 2.8 is pretty good for a zoom lens. A lot of zoom lenses usually hover around a 4, but for a zoom lens, 2.8, I mean, you really can't go wrong with it. I would highly recommend getting this lens and adding it to your arsenal. If you're a lifestyle photographer, if you're a lifestyle videographer, this is gonna be a good one for just running out on the streets, being able to grab multiple angles. You can get a lot done with this. I mean, when I first started out, probably 90% of all my shoots were shot on this, and I don't think I ever ran into a situation where I wish I had a different lens when I was first starting out. Great lens. Second, we have my Zeiss 40mm. Now, the Zeiss Baddest lenses are the only other lenses that I use that aren't G Master. It started out because it was someone I knew, they worked at Zeiss, they were able to hook it up and get me a discount with it. So I was like, sure, why not? Let me try out these lenses. Little did I know that I would fall in love with this lens. Now I have an 85 as well. I don't use that very often. That's more of a portrait lens, or it really works well with maybe some product photos if you're really going for that commercial look. But for my work, the 40mm is great for me. The reason I like the 40mm over like a 50mm is because it gives my work a little bit different of a vibe. Now, a 50mm is like the gold standard when it comes to a good lens, what your naked eye sees. And most people that are just generally talking about lenses will be like, oh no, the 50, tried and true, the nifty 50, that's good. You can't really go wrong with that lens. And I totally agree with them. But for me personally, I wanted to give my work something a little bit different than just, you know, that average 50mm look. It's clean, it's crisp, it's good looking, you know, 50mm. But the 40, it's just something about that, you know, just like that little extra. And that's what the 40 gives you. What do I use this 40mm for? A lot of the time I use it for portrait photography, or I use it for product. Now I go back and forth because, again, I've talked about it in the past. I love that little bit of distortion when it comes to some of my product photography, not all of it, but when I'm doing some of my splashing, some of my other type of quick movements, it's nice to have that little bit of a wider angle, capture more in frame, and then I can punch in if I really want to, because Zeiss has some of the sharpest image quality that you could possibly get. I mean, that's what they're known for. They make glass, they make microscopes and other scientific equipment. So of course their lenses are going to be top quality. More on this lens. It is a clean lens. This hood just seamlessly just goes right into the lens. I've never seen that on any other lens companies. So that is kind of a nice touch. Does it really make a difference? No, but just from an aesthetic point of view, looks pretty cool. Another kind of cool thing about this lens, all your information shows up right here in digital form. So instead of you like clicking a ring or anything like that, or relying just on the back of your camera, it shows up right here. Again, it's one of those things nice to have. Does it really make a difference? No. Do I ever look at it? No. But it is kind of like a cool added feature that these Zeiss lenses have. Also, the 40mm acts as a macro, which was kind of like a nice additive. It was like a 2-for-1 for this lens. So you have your different focal lengths right here. You have your full, your infinite to 0.4, and then your 0.5 to 0.24. Now, when I'm in a tight spot, or if I'm just shooting products and I'm like, hey, you know what? I want to grab a little extra detail on something. Instead of me switching out lenses or anything like that, I can just switch this, change it to maybe a 0.5, 0.24, and I can get really close and get basically a macro shot with using this lens. So that's another good reason to have it. So if you're tight on space, it's a good one if you can't bring your macro and your 40, or your macro and a 50 or something like that. Also, keep in mind, what I always keep going back to, Super 35 mode. You throw this on, it's a 40mm, put on the Super 35 mode, you're basically getting what, like a 60mm? I'm not doing the math, but you know what I'm talking about. It punches it in a little bit more, it gets rid of that distortion, and you basically have a great portrait lens. It's like my backlight. Did that go off? Last up is the newest addition to the family, which is my 70-200. I'm not sure how I got along without this lens for so long. This is probably my newest and most favorite lens that I own. Obviously, it's a beast. You can't really take it everywhere you go, but if it's a situation that calls for it, you better believe that I take this with me. Now, I just went on a trip to Dubai. There was no reason for me to take this lens. Didn't go for a shoot. It was total personal reasons, but I still snuck this into my bag because I was like, I'm taking this out there. I want to see what kind of photos I can get. And I'm so happy I did. I was able to do a safari and I captured animals and just like the sand dunes and the textures, and this telephoto lens just compresses everything so pretty, and it's such a beautiful image that you get out of it. But I mean, as big as this lens is, it still is very versatile. Now I use this for product, I've used it for portrait, I've used it for lifestyle, I've used it for safari. I guess I can say I use it on a safari. A lot of beauty photographers use this. I've used it for that reason and it was great. Product photography, I love it for product photography. It gets in there, compresses the image, it looks good, it's crisp, it's clean. If you want to throw out the background and get that really good bokeh effect, you can definitely get it done with this. It goes down to a 2.8. It's a G Master again, so you always know that the quality is going to be top notch. A couple other things on this, you got a couple other buttons, same with some of the other lenses, but you got your autofocus, your manual focus, your focus length, and then you have your optical steady shot on here. Mode 1 and 2. I actually don't even know what mode 1 and 2 is. If you know what mode 1 and 2 is, leave a comment in below. I've never used it. It's always been on mode 1. What does mode 2 do?
You remember the little red button?
Yeah?
Push the little red button. And you may want to put on a seatbelt.
The lens hood makes this lens even bigger, which can be a cool thing if you're trying to impress people, or a nuisance when you're just attracting way too much attention if you're just trying to shoot this guy. Now, all these lenses are not cheap by any means, but coming in at the cheapest is the Zeiss 40mm with that f2.0 at about $1,300. And coming in at second, just barely being a tiny bit more affordable than the other lens, is the 16-35 by G Master f2.8 at $2,200. Yeah, it's a little pricey, but you're getting a lot when you get that lens. And the most expensive lens that I just showed you was, of course, the 70-200 by G Master, which is about $2,400. It's a big investment. It is not one of those lenses that I would recommend you starting off with by any means, unless you're automatically know you're going to be doing sports photography only or wildlife photography, or you're doing beauty and you know for a fact that's all you're going to be shooting, and that 70-200 kind of hits it and it's a sweet spot. It is one of those lenses that I say work up to. Not something to get right off the bat. But if you already have your wide angle and you already have your mid length, maybe a 24-70, and you need that extra focal length, that's when I think it's time to get that 70-200. I hope that helps you when you're trying to decide what lenses might serve your needs the best. Also, before I go, I have two things I wanted to share with you.
But wait, there's more.
That are, one is more like personal, that I'm really excited. Two, the other one will affect you a whole lot more. The first one being, I just talked to someone at Sony. I didn't know that this was possible because they're sold out everywhere. Nobody has them. It doesn't matter if it's B&H, Adorama, you go into stores, Best Buy, nobody has this camera, but I think I got my hands on one. The FX6. I get mine. I'm so excited. I've been wanting to test out this camera. I wanted to kind of step my cinema game up, and this is the perfect camera for me, that it's still small enough that I can run outside with it, but I can also set it up for much bigger productions. And I can't wait to show you and share like how cool this camera is. Yeah, shout out to Sony for hooking it up and just like being there. I like hit them up and I was like, hey, what are the chances? And they said, we got somebody in like Arkansas that has it. Do you want it? And I was like, let's go Sony, let's go. I can't wait. Anyways, second one, which actually probably relates to you even more, and you're like, I don't care about your camera, Evan, it's like, give us one. Well, I may or may not be having a giveaway coming up here very soon. You're gonna hear it here first on YouTube, so make sure you subscribe, you follow, because everything that I'm gonna be talking about, how to enter, how to be a part of it, will be announced here and not Instagram or TikTok. So subscribe here so you don't miss your chance to win whatever I decide to give away. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out again. My name is Evan Naka, and until next time, see y'all later.